Welcome to 11 by Sideline Talk with me, Scott Norman, where I ask my guests for their all-time favourite 11, including manager and kit. My guest for this episode is a familiar face, one half of the Sideline Talk podcast, Den. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. I'm doing well. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I bet it feels weird being on this side, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, I've got to admit, it's not that we've been doing this long at all, but it's new. It's new to me almost. I don't know whether I feel nervous or not, which I shouldn't. But yeah, let's see how it goes, eh?
Yeah, let's get the ball rolling then. So, formation, what are we going with?
We're going with a 3-4-3, which I would never particularly instigate, shall I say? But you know, it was just a tough one for me. There was a lot of midfielders that I wanted to choose from. So yeah, 3-4-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the goalkeeper then. Who are you going for?
We're going for David Seaman. To be honest, for me, you could very easily pick one of the keepers that is in these recent days, but the problem is you get a lot more mistake than what we used to see back in the day. I think David Seaman was just consistent, to be honest, for Arsenal and for England. Had to be him.
Yeah, apart from the goal against Ronaldo.
Yeah.
We'll forget that one.
We'll forget one of them. No, but you know what I mean. Like Edison, Alisson, all the keepers these day and age, they can. I just feel like they do have a lot more mistakes than what you used to see. Everyone's entitled to one now and again. You know, it happens, but it was either a case of him or Schmeichel. I don't think any of the keepers in this day and age have lived up to that expectation yet. Anyway.
Not Ben Foster then, no.
Yeah. How many you had, son? How many you had?
Right, so you're going with a back three?
Yeah. So
who you going for the right side of the front three? Back three, sorry.
For me, it just had to be Gary Neville. It's a bit of a weird one because obviously you can pick three centre backs in there, and to be honest, at the moment, all the centre backs in this day and age are young still. They haven't developed. They haven't lived enough to sort of say, all right, they're up there with the best, or even my favourite. But yeah, Gary Neville on the right. To me, no one's cut it quite yet. Obviously, there's people in the game that have the potential to be better than him in the future, but the career he had at Man United was just brilliant.
All right, who's in the middle then?
So we're going for Tony Adams. This is non-biased, I promise. He amazed me. I think he's still to this date the only centre back that I've seen that I've just honestly completely admired. There's others out there. Ferdinand again was another big topic of discussion for myself, which I nearly went towards, but with Adams, I think he stood out more. Whereas Ferdinand, maybe it was because he was in a big side and he had a lot of people around him. It was harder for him to stand out. But Tony Adams for me, mate.
Okay, and on the left,
Ashley Cole. Of course.
Ashley Cole.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sore subject. I'm not a big fan of players that go from Arsenal to Chelsea or vice versa. Yeah. But you know, he's probably one of the very best players that has done that. So to me, I don't think there's anyone else out there that is gonna go beyond him in what he achieved at both clubs. To be honest, Kieran Tierney could have been there, but you know, we'll see. Maybe in 4 years' time that will change.
Kieran Tierney, you love him, don't you?
Yeah, of course, mate.
Yeah, Ashley Cole was brilliant, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. I just think he's exceptional. The thing is, he's one of them players that no matter who you support, you can't hate him. Like you just look and admire and enjoy him, no matter where you're from, no matter what sort of sport. Even if you support cricket, you could watch him in a game of football and see that he's good. There was no contenders there for me really. But Kieran's coming on. Kieran's coming up.
Yeah, for a small lad as well. Ashley Cole was so aggressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. He was tiny. I mean, I'm not saying I'd push him over the floor, but he really did like exceptionally well. And it's not like he had small players up against him either. He probably like back in them days, he went up against quite some talent. So, and he never really had a bad game, in my opinion. I'm sure there's probably one or two there, but you know, I couldn't go as I tried my best to switch it between old and new players, but in that back three, at the moment, I don't think there's anyone yet that's one of my favourites over them. So
Yeah, fair.
Ashley Cole, definitely.
Yeah, what about your midfield forward then? Let's start on the right.
Okay, so this was a tough one for me because, to be honest, the midfield this is one of the reasons I've chosen the 3-4-3. The midfield, there's just so many talents to go from. You've got your Gerrard, your Lampards. I think it all depends on who you've watched in the years as well. This is going to be a weird one, but I've had to put him in there because he did sometimes play there for England. I've put Paul Scholes.
Okay.
Mainly because my family support United, my dad and my brother. So I watched them almost as much as Arsenal when I was young. And I think it was amazing. I really do. It was either him or Giggs, and Scholes just cut it for me. Especially for the fact I watched more of him because of England. And I think some of the goals he scored were just amazing. Definitely Paul Scholes.
And the midfield, centre mids?
So this is one that you'll like, Stevie Gerrard. I felt a bit hard for him, to be honest. Probably the best player that will ever be in the Premier League and not win a trophy. I don't mean to be harsh on the Liverpool fans there, but the fact that he didn't win anything and all the amount of incredibility showed throughout the years, it was tough on him. And obviously in his final year, he nearly got there and didn't. To be honest, if we were talking about my best 11, potentially he could have been missed and overplayed, but he was definitely one of my favourites to watch whenever I watched Liverpool.
Yeah, I think Gerrard for me is the best centre mid.
Yeah,
in Premier League. He was unbelievable, mate.
Some of the strikes he had on him as well.
Yeah,
it was even when you watched in Europe, you saw
in big games.
It was annoying for me because it's like, oh, bloody Liverpool again winning. But it was also like, wow, what a player. Just to watch him in that middle.
Yeah, and who have you got next to him?
It's David Silva for me. Obviously, I mentioned him to you earlier because I think he's one that won't probably come across to many people, really. I think he'll be one that's missed because City have got a lot of talent. You can put De Bruyne there, you can put Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players in the City team you could put, but David Silva was just on another level.
He was, yeah.
And still to this day in the Spanish league, he's not doing badly. To me, that was irreplaceable. He was the one person I think I was first going to choose him out of everybody. And I'm glad he got the success he needed in the end at City because he was just a world-class player. And no matter how many goals are scored by other players, you could see what sort of effect he had on the game and in most of the goals, to be honest. Whenever he was on the field, he was involved in a lot of it, and he was a good distributor of the ball. Yeah,
and now they've got the new David Silva in Phil Foden.
Yeah. I mean, this is another reason why Foden's exciting. They've replaced Silva with another exceptional talent, and he's got about 10 years ahead of him as well. So it'll be quite exciting to see if he does come out to be that good or better. I think
Pep with Phil Foden as well, he done the best thing by not rushing him into the team. He let him learn from the likes of David Silva, and then obviously, when David Silva's left, he's now brought Phil Foden into the squad more, and Phil Foden's different level at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they've been substituting him last few games, I think, just to give him a bit of a rest. I think they're probably thinking about the summer coming as well. Obviously, there's no doubt he'll be in the Euro squad, so he's got a big summer ahead of him. So the fact that you can have a player like him on the bench and still deliver in the front just shows how good City are. And again, Silva was one of the very best for him, so that shows how good he was as well.
Yeah. So now on to left side of midfield.
Again, very difficult decision for me. For me, it has to be Hazard. Everyone as an Arsenal fan knows Chelsea isn't the first team we put on telly, but he was just phenomenal. There's so many goals I can remember him scoring for Chelsea, and you just think, wow. You can just sit there and admire and watch his talent.
Yeah.
The 2 seasons that Chelsea won the league was him. It was pretty much him carrying the team. Not only can he play up front, he can play out wide. He can distribute. He can finish. The goal. I think the goal against Tottenham a few years ago when he won Leicester the title. That was one of the very best moments in his life, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not just for an Arsenal, but it showed 2 seasons running. He won the league for his club and another. And it just showed you what sort of player he was. Unfortunately, he left Chelsea on a bittersweet ending for me because it was by thrashing Arsenal in the Europa League final, but he was exceptional. I think he's a complete example that, no matter how much money you spend, it's just about the player. You can pay 2 million or something for a player and they be outstanding. They didn't. I don't even know what they paid for Hazard really, but I know he was playing in the under 23s at one point, and he came from, I think it was the French league. And back in them days, you didn't spend much on players anyway. And he was sold for around £90 million. I mean, unfortunately, his form has slipped obviously in Spain, but I think he'll come back. He's still got a few years ahead of him, and we all know he can do it.
Well, he came into Chelsea with his brother, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who's now at Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, Torgan Hazard. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I mean, he's exceptional for Belgium as well. You can see the difference he plays whenever he's on the field. You can see that what sort of player he is. I tried to mix it up a bit as well. I wanted to have something like different players in different teams. I didn't want to be too non-biased or too biased. But Hazard, for me, if there's any Chelsea player to be in there, it would be him. And we've seen since he left, the wingers they've brought in are nowhere near his talent, nowhere up to it. No,
but then, I mean, like you mentioned, he's obviously gone to Real Madrid and it hasn't really worked out for him, has it?
Yeah, and I mean, at the moment, you may say it would have been better for him staying, but they still won a title. He's still got some silverware there, even if he didn't have a big input in it. But and like I say, Real Madrid are always going to be up there somewhere. So I think it was the best move for him at the time, but it was a shame to the Premier League, definitely, because he was a brilliant talent.
It looks like he's put on weight as well. Have you seen the photos?
Yeah. I mean, maybe all that money he got from whatever money he got in the exchange with Real Madrid, maybe he just went and bought a few beers in the Spanish islands. But I don't know. I can see what you mean on that. I mean, he did look like he'd put on weight. Hopefully not. Well, I'd hate to see a talent go to waste so soon. But he's definitely he's had his peaks. He had 2 or 3 seasons where you could say he was at his peak. So you can't really fault him, regardless of how he's played in the last 2 seasons or whatever at Real Madrid. The amount he did for Chelsea, I still admire as one of the best things I've seen. So, Eden Hazard.
So, front three. Start with the right.
Right, so we're going to go with Ronaldo. No surprise, really. To me, he's, besides Messi, he's the best there is on this earth. I really believe.
I'm Team Ronaldo.
Yes. I mean, maybe I haven't seen enough of Ronaldo, but I just think Messi has that little bit of an edge over him, but he's definitely the best I've seen in the Premier League by a mile. I remember watching him when he was ugly as hell. He had curly hair with blonde highlights or something ridiculous, and he was only God knows what of age. And Gary Neville, who he was speaking about earlier, was sat behind him, and he was just at that moment he was there getting advice from the likes of Neville, Ferdinand, whoever else was in that squad at the time, Giggs or Beckham, whoever it be. And now you look at him and you think you're literally above any of the rest. Yeah. And it's mad to think that he learned from all of those players. And obviously at Lisbon he would have learned something. But I just think he's on another level. When United had him, they were unstoppable. Sometimes it wasn't their year or wasn't their game, but when he was having a good game, they didn't need to even worry. It was almost as if Alex could walk in the changing room and just say, you know what, Ronaldo's got it today. He's just one of them players that you put in any team and he'll deliver.
He had a good partnership with Wayne Rooney as well, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 2 R's, as my dad used to call it. But I mean, Rooney and Ronaldo playing next to each other, it just says it for itself as well, really, doesn't it? I mean, Rooney was one of the very best for England, but yeah, Ronaldo for me, even still at this age, he's got how many years left of him, and even still at Juventus, he's banging in the goals. They may just be a set piece or a header here or there, but look at what he shows compared to the rest of the players in that Juve team. It's phenomenal. And for Portugal as well, obviously, not sure how that's going to go when they play without him, because at some point they're going to have to look to it. They've still got talent there. He's irreplaceable. I can't see anyone meeting that. Like, in your FIFA, when you get your can't remember what they're called now. They begin with M, I think. Like they call it, so basically the player that was that is now this sort of thing.
Right.
Ronaldo had one, and like it just made me laugh how if you was to think of it in real life, because you see it on the papers and you see people saying the next Ronaldo, the next Thierry Henry, and it's like no, there will never be a Cristiano Ronaldo. And that brings me on to my next one, actually, funny enough.
Go on in.
So, yeah, Thierry Henry in the middle. I don't think that's a surprise to you, to be honest.
No.
Not just as an Arsenal fan, but I just think he's one of those players that everyone can admire. He was one of the very best. If I was gonna put anyone else in there instead, it would be Alan Shearer. But
right.
Henry, I watched enough of to see what a talent he was. And every season for Arsenal, he was consistent. The day he signed back for us was like Christmas Day all over again. It was, I mean, he's just such a talent, and good luck to him wherever he ends up. If he, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with his managerial stuff now, but he'll be at Arsenal someday managing and teaching strikers to do what he done, which would be incredible because it really was brilliant to watch, and he had a hell of an impact on the success we had. If you put another forward in with the team we had then, we're getting nowhere near as many goals. He's quick, fast. He's pretty much everything you want in a striker.
It wasn't just goals as well, though, was it? It was assists.
No,
I think he was the joint assist leader of all time with De Bruyne, isn't it? 20 assists in the season.
That's a joke for a striker. That's just a joke. You're not there to provide goals. I mean, you can now and again. 20 assists for a striker.
Yeah.
That's completely
They played him on the wing at times, though, didn't they? He cut in from the left.
Yeah. I think at Barcelona they like to do that as well. Once he moved, I think that he sort of. I think the good thing with him again, he was that good. I'd put him at centre back, centre half, and I'd probably not even question that he'd have a bad game. You know, I think it was just everything about him really. I can't think of a day where I actually saw them and thought, he had a bad game today. And I remember the game against Leeds where he returned to the team and he scored on his debut within like seconds or a minute, and you could literally tell how much he meant to Arsenal fans. That will never come again. We speak about Aubameyang here and now.
Nowhere near it.
Nowhere near, and he never will be. I'm sorry, but it's quite like what makes me laugh now as well is that Aubameyang's this captain material for Arsenal supposedly. Henry wasn't the captain.
No, I think the closest thing Aubameyang will get to Henry is the shirt number.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's the same as like what they've said. Whenever any French player comes up, they're like, he's the next Henry. Martial, he's the next Henry.
Yeah.
Mbappe, he's going to be like Henry in 5 years. Never going to happen. And I'm not being disrespectful. I think he's on another level to what can actually be achieved these days anyway.
The thing is with Henry as well, when you saw him come out on the pitch with them vapors and the gloves, short sleeve, you knew it was over, mate.
Yeah, I mean,
you knew it was over.
If I was in the centre half up against that, I'd pull a hammy. I'd be like, sorry, I can't carry on. I'd just pull a hammy there and then because you knew you're in for it. You know, if you see him warming up on the sidelines, it's just like, not for me
today.
Not for me. I'm not up for that. Now, just let someone else have a go.
Yeah. Right. So last player in your 11 on the left side of the front three. Who are you going with?
This was a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with Sadio Mane, just because I think, besides this season, obviously this season's a complete different. Perhaps, if anything, this would have been the reason why I wouldn't have chosen him, but. Every season he's had at Liverpool, he's consistent. I know Salah's spoken of a lot, but I'm not saying Mane's underrated. I think a lot of people know what he's capable of, but he's just brilliant. And
I'm with you on that, to be fair. I think I prefer Mane over Salah.
Yeah, and I just think for an African player as well, I always enjoy seeing African players grow up and develop and become players that they should be. And to be honest, when you look at players that have come from Southampton to Liverpool, not everyone's lived up to that expectation of becoming, phenomenal or class or. But like you look at Lallana now, he's at Brighton. I'm trying to think of some others now.
Ricky Lambert.
We won't go into that. That's an incredible comparison. He scores, and what I like about him, he likes to come into the middle as well. a lot often. To me, I'm surprised we haven't seen him up front more, especially because Firmino hasn't been as good over the years as what was expected of him when he arrived. They're obviously short of options, Liverpool. I'd like to see him up front one day or two rather than Salah being put there because I just think he's more forceful. He's definitely more strong as well. I mean, you see Salah dive left, right, and centre. You never see that at Mane. I think Mane's got some like world class about him. We saw a tiff one day with him and Salah when Salah didn't pass him the ball. I think that shows what sort of player he is.
Yeah.
Obviously, he only plays for I think it's Senegal, is it? But he's world class. It's a shame to see him not play as often internationally, like because obviously I don't follow that sort of thing. Sometimes I watch the African nations, but if we could see him more of him, that would be brilliant. Because this season's been a bit of a shame for Liverpool, but it doesn't change my opinion for me. He's definitely up there.
Cool. So manager, who you having managing your team? Let me guess. Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, how can it not be? I think I'd be slammed by every watcher of this show if I didn't have Wenger, to be honest. I'd be better if anything. I may as well just choose a Tottenham manager because whatever I do is bad. No, but it's got to be Wenger for me. An incredible achievement. He lasted a few years too many than what I would have liked personally. I think he should have gone 2 years before what he did, but most fans would agree with that. Because of where we was at and what we was getting, and we just weren't really improving. And maybe we'd be a better team now if he'd have gone. I'm quite happy with Arteta at the moment, but he is just incredible, phenomenal.
Longest serving manager in the Premier League as well, isn't he?
It's just amazing. And he didn't exactly, he wasn't short of silverware, you know? He didn't really have many slips or where you could say, oh, he didn't get that much then. Oh, he didn't do anything there. Oh, no, that was a shambles of a season. Majority of his times there, besides towards the end, he was admirable. And any fan should say the same thing because it was clear to see that what he was doing with that squad was amazing. And back then, it wasn't easy either.
No.
I mean, Man United were one of the best teams in the world back then. I'm not saying they're not good now, but, you know, back then they were winning everything. It was Man United and Arsenal season after season. And he just done a great job. If I could go back to them days, in fact, I'm quite tempted after this to just go and watch some of the years of Arsenal, just to like memories go on, you know. But it's he was something that we'll never see in football again. If we do, then we'll be honoured to see it. Like to service a club for that many years. And not just that, I admire him as like off the job. What we've seen from him and heard from him since leaving Arsenal, he's just always talking sense. I don't know one time where I thought, what the hell is he talking about? You go on these pundits and commentators some days, and even these managers. Tim Sherwood is a prime example. You hear people talking nonsense. He's the God's gift. He really knows exactly what he's on about. Put him in any team, and he'd be great to have like a sort of technical director role at Arsenal even now, to be honest. Which I was surprised to not see him. Obviously, I think he just wanted to leave on good terms and that be it. Like once you leave sort of thing. But the sort of advice he can give these players, even up until now, is amazing because he worked with the very best and he is the very best.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. So, kit. What kit are you having for your team?
It's going to be the Invincibles, the O2 kit from 2003 to 2004. I think, like I say again, I couldn't not pick. This was my favourite season of football for me. Like most fans of the team I support. I like the kit as well. I love it. I was trying to look for one for my little boy the other day, but they seem to be a stupid amount of price these days. Probably because we were winning titles back then and we aren't now. But you know,
yeah, probably.
It was the season like of dreams coming true. When we went 49 games, it was amazing, you know, and majority of it was done in that kit, and it will always be remembered. We could go and win 5 years of seasons in a row. That season would still be there. You hear our fans sing about it now. I know people say it's trash talk and we go on about it too much, but it is what it is. It was fantastic. Still hasn't been beaten. So, you know, it's got to be that kit for me. No other. No competition.
So we've gone Seaman in goal.
Yeah.
Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Tony Adams. Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
In the midfield, you've gone Scholes right mid.
Yeah.
Gerrard and Silva in the middle with Hazard on the left.
Yeah.
and then your front three of Ronaldo, Henry, and Mane.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being harsh to Giggs, to be honest. Because I could have easily put him there because he played out wide. But
Yeah,
Scholes did play out wide for England a few times. So I've got to go with Scholes because, again, when I used to watch United games with my dad and my brother, he was one player that stood out. Not just because he's ginger or because but he was just. I think every goal I saw him score was a cracker. And again, Gerrard. You can put Lampard in there easy. I think it depends on what you've watched and what you think. It's all on different opinions, really, isn't it? But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. The only one I probably would reconsider is Mane. But again, I think I'd be being harsh and basing it on this season. Whereas he's still one of the favourite players that I've watched. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, perfect. All right then, Den. We'll wrap it up there then. Thank you very much for joining me on the first podcast.
No worries, mate. You've done well. How have you found it? All right?
Yeah, it's all right, mate. It's all good. So what we'll do is we'll put your team as well as your manager and the kit on your social media.
Let's hope I don't get too much bad backlash.
Yeah, feedback's good. So we'll put it on your social media, the Sideline Talk podcast. And then perfect then.
All right.
Good to see you, mate.
Cheers, Scott. Thanks, mate.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.